Hello YouTube. I think I've got a video floating around in my camera roll somewhere to post and I haven't done it, but maybe I'll go ahead and post this one. I'm on my way to go clean the store this morning. I might be running a little bit late. It's 7:52, so I think I might be running a little bit late this morning, but I'm on my way. Ooh, let's not hit the turtle. Oh, it's a very damp early fall, late summer morning here. We have leaves starting to turn and we're still having a lot of hot days. We had 1 week where the temperatures kind of dipped down and I was like, oh no, this is really early. This is really early and getting really chilly quickly, but then it went back up. So we were still having some pretty hot days, but this morning is on the chillier side. I think it's gonna get warm today, but I am just wrapping up my second week of homeschooling. Really, I should have finished the week yesterday, but we're gonna finish today, which is Friday, because this has been an incredibly busy week. I am fully exhausted, but I'm also, school traffic. And I'm late. Oh no. Phooey. Anyway, I'm really fully and truly grateful for the opportunity to be able to do what I'm doing. So I don't mean to be complaining at all. I don't mean to be complaining. But I am tired. I mean, that's just true. I'm just really tired. So homeschooling is going, I feel like homeschooling is going really well. Sometimes I start to gain a little confidence and then I lose it, because the thing of it is truly my daughter is advanced beyond this curriculum that we're on. I would say she's really not learning anything new, but it's a great refresher. And what I have chosen to do is double up. So we're doing 4 days a week. This curriculum is formatted for 5 days a week. And so I absorb a day into the 4 days, but then also I'm doubling up in terms of I'm doing 2 days per day. So for 4 days a week, I'm doing 2.5 days worth of curriculum. And other than, like I said, I'm behind right now, it's been going really well. The reason that I'm behind is actually we've attended a couple of homeschool events this week, which has been really wonderful. The first one was kind of far from my house. It was an hour away. It was at a historical site that we have, and they have grown it and developed it, and it's a great historical site. And they have all kinds of events there, and they have homeschool days. They have one in spring and one in fall. I don't fall. Anyway, they have one in spring and one in fall, and it is really amazing. They have a morning and an afternoon session. I took the afternoon session, with it being an hour away from home, and I was really trying to get my 2-year-old to take a nap on the way there. She did not nap, which was a bummer. Why? I'm going straight. Why was I turning my turn signal on? I'm struggling this morning. Go, sir. Anyway, so and like I said, we've been having some hot days. So actually ended up, if we would have gone to the morning session, I think there would have been a lot more available to us, because I think a lot of the vendors had left. And so when I say vendors, it's not really vendors. That's what they were calling them, but I don't think they're vendors. They have these people that volunteer their time. I mean, I think the entire historical site, there may be some paid employees at the stores or whatever, but it's mostly volunteer work. And just people with a wealth of knowledge are there on the regular to give tours. But this is different. So these people come in, some of them dress up and some of them don't. and period clothing. But they had all these different stations that teaches your children like very old traditional ways of doing things. So for instance, I really enjoyed the flax station. So they grow flax there, and then they harvest it. So then your child comes up and they have people there assisting your children, and they break the flax, and then they take it over to hackle the flax, and then they take it over to another woman and she spins it into a string, and then she made my daughter's bracelets out of what they had just done, which I thought was really cool. They have they called it historic laundry. So the one you go over and they really teach you how back in those days they would have to go to the nearest water source and bail the water up to the home, build a fire, and they showed you the tools that they laundered with and stuff, and your child could launder, do it that way. And then they would teach you about how they kept clothes white, and they would put bluing in there, and then they would lay it out on the grass, or maybe they would lay it out on a bush, or over a fence. Clotheslines, sometimes they had clotheslines and sometimes they didn't. So they had that. They had a black powder gun. They taught you about the militia and black powder rifles and how they worked, and history about that. They taught about, there was everything. There was beekeeping. We missed beekeeping, but there was beekeeping. There was the schoolhouse, and they taught about how schools worked in those days. Of course, my daughter has no idea. She doesn't know how schools work now, not really. But, they taught that. They taught, I'm trying to think, like old historic music. Man, I would just have to sit here and think, because we went around, there was a furrier there was a general store. They taught about the general store, commerce, that kind of thing. There was just a lot, and we missed a lot. They had a relay race, so it was really, really cool event. And then yesterday, our library has homeschool events, and so we went. That's an hour thing, it was just in town, and it's great. It's great, like STEM work and team building. I think that's great, because learning to work in a group, that is a hard thing to get down. And especially my daughter, she just turned 6. And so I feel like, especially when you're that age, it's harder, And so our little children's director at the library, I told her yesterday, she's had a very big role for being a librarian, for no more, I would go to the library when I was little and stuff, but just for being a librarian, I feel like she's played a pretty large role in my daughter's lives. And I told her yesterday, I said, I cannot tell you how thankful and grateful for you that I am. You're so, because at events like that, I try to hang back, because I tend to step in a bit much, and go, no, now quit talking and make your thing and do what you're supposed to do. And, I step in and I do stuff like that. At these events, I'm really trying to hang back, and sometimes it takes effort on my part. And I'm always afraid that it looks like I'm just trying to have some free time or something, you know what I mean? Because I sit there and I watch, but I don't actively get up and do that much. But I told the librarian, the children's director, I said, I'm very grateful for you, because she sat down and she was doing stuff with my daughter, because she is on the younger side of the group, and that's absolutely true. But I said, I really am trying to hang back. She goes, no, this is what I want you to do, just sit here and talk. And I was like, no, yeah, and I'm grateful for that, but I said, I'm really trying to make sure that my children are not as shy as I was and timid as I was. I'm trying to boost her confidence, but I'm also trying to get her to learn that working with people is kind of an art, and it's, you kind of have to work through things, and so she was like, oh yeah. But anyway, so we did that. So we've been busy, and also she had dance yesterday and stuff. So we've been busy the last 2 days. So the first 2 days went a little smoother. Well, even the second day, I come out and I work at the store. So, my mom takes over the lesson. Well, badly because it didn't, but that's what I'm saying. It's a bit difficult when you're that busy, but also you can make it up and it's okay. I really didn't want to have anything to do today, but my daughter goes, Mom, that's why homeschooling is so great. We could just make it up. And I told her yesterday, I said, well, that means we're doing paperwork. We're doing like curriculum work tomorrow, on a Friday. And I said, I'm really trying to have those be free. She's like, well, I know, but we had all this cool stuff we were doing, So yeah, that was pretty cool. So it's working out. Sometimes I'm like, what are we going to do when we get into the first grade work if she's not advanced past that? Like, what's it going to be like when I'm actively teaching her new things? And that really is the point of homeschooling, But I'm like, don't lose your confidence because this is going really well. And maybe this is our opportunity, to do a refresher, to get in the groove of homeschooling, and so that maybe we can kind of step into that new stuff in a little better, instead of just directly going straight into homeschooling and doing new things and learning new things. And that might be a harder adjustment period, I don't know. But as it stands, I'm hoping, and I think that she should graduate kindergarten in January, and then we'll move on to first grade work. And and then I'll take the curriculum through like May, I think, is when the end of the year is. And so that's what I'll do. And then I have friends that they log, they do all year. I think I only want to keep the curriculum portion kind of like a normal school year. I think that's what I want to do. And even, in fact, I want to start maybe a little late. We'll see how it goes from here on out. It's working well for kindergarten, but I don't know that it will in the future, starting after Labor Day. But then everything else that we do education-wise, even if it's other worksheets and stuff like that at my house. I mean, it's all at my house, but just like I have the curriculum that I have, but then I have random stuff, So like if we do random stuff, I want to like log that all year. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. So anyway, I am almost to work here now. So thank you for joining me and getting this little update on my homeschool journey. And I'll see you next time. Bye.